Top 6 Unusual History Stories. 1. The story of an assassin who hired an assassin who hired an assassin that hired another assassin who eventually hired another assassin. In 2019 in China, Tan Yuhui, a real estate developer, hired an assassin to kill his business rival. He paid the assassin £220,000. The assassin in turn hired another assassin to do the job and paid him £110,000. Since the pay seems to be quite a lot of money, the second assassin too hired another assassin and paid £30,000, making it 3 assassins in the link. The third assassin felt it's easier to give the job to another assassin. So he outsourced the job to another assassin and paid £22,000. In the same pattern, the fourth assassin hired another assassin and paid him £11,000. But instead of doing the job, the fifth assassin entered an agreement with the man he was supposed to kill. He asked the man to fake his death. He then went back to the assassin who hired him, claimed the job had been done and collected his pay. The victim reported the case to the police and all the assassins were arrested. All 6 men were convicted of intentional homicide and given prison sentences up to 5 years. 2. Old Hickory, indeed. Andrew "Old Hickory" Jackson got his nickname for being tough as Old Hickory. Well, just how tough was he? By the time he became President of the United States in 1829, he had been in at least 7 duels and had the bullets rattling around in his chest to prove it. As a teenager, he and his brother were captured by the British during the Revolutionary War. During his captivity, he received sword wounds on his hand and head for refusing to shine a soldier's boots. As president, he even survived an assassination attempt. On January 30, 1835, Richard Lawrence, an unemployed and deranged house painter, approached Jackson as he left the Capitol and fired at him. His gun misfired. He then pulled out a second pistol, which also misfired. By this point, Jackson was charging Lawrence. The 67-year-old president beat the would-be assassin with his cane and had to be restrained by aides. As badass as all that was, his duel with Charles Dickinson in 1806 was even badder. He let Dickinson shoot first because he knew Dickinson was a better shot anyway. Jackson got hit in the chest, and then took careful aim and killed Dickinson. At Jackson's funeral in 1845, his parrot had to be removed from the church because it wouldn't stop cursing. 3. The Dog Shogun. Tokugawa Tsunayoshi, 1646–1709, was the 5th shogun of the Tokugawa dynasty of Japan. He was known as a religious man and a very strict ruler. And he liked dogs. Born in the year of the dog, he felt canines should be treated well. In a series of edicts on compassion for living things, Tsunayoshi commanded his people to protect dogs at all costs. Under these edicts, if you injured, killed, or even ignored a dog, you could be put to death or be forced to commit suicide. At one point, 300 people were put to death in 1 month for failing to live up to the edicts, and anywhere from 60,000 to 200,000 people were killed or exiled during Tsunayoshi's reign for violations. Soon the city became so overrun with dogs that Tsunayoshi had 50,000 dogs sent out from the city to live in special kennels where they were fed rice and fish each day, all at taxpayers. 4. I like big butts. Ibrahim was Sultan of the Ottoman Empire from 1640 to 1648. In the short time he ruled, he nearly single-handedly destroyed it all. He supposedly suffered from stress, though his obsession with extremely obese women may have relieved some of it. He sent his attendants out to find the largest woman possible. They returned with a 330-pound woman from either Armenia or Georgia. Ibrahim named her Sheker Pear, piece of sugar, gave her a government pension, and made her governor-general of Damascus. He supposedly drowned all 280 women in his harem after a rumor that another man had slept with some of them. Ibrahim was also seen feeding coins to the fish that lived in the palace's pool. He was strangled to death in a coup in 1648. 5. William the Corpulent Conqueror. When one thinks of kings and queens, brave deeds, loyal attendants, and dignified ceremonies usually come to mind. None of these were in the cards for William the Conqueror, who suffered a fate worthy of a Monty Python skit. After attacking a French garrison in 1087, the once strong, and now fat, William got thrown off his horse and ruptured his intestines on the metal pommel at the front of his saddle. It took a little while to die, but once he did, things only got worse for the king. First, his attendants ran off after stripping the body of all valuables and removing all the king's weapons and furniture. Then, during William's funeral procession, his pallbearers had to drop him to go fight a fire. Finally, the king's giant body, which had swollen considerably, didn't fit in the stone sarcophagus reserved for him. The bishops attending the body pushed and squeezed to no avail. Finally, the stomach burst, showering everyone with dead body pieces. Everyone in the church made a run for it. Late in life, William fought more bravely in the dining room than on the battlefield. He became so corpulent that King Philip I of France said that he looked like a pregnant woman. 6. The Glass King. Charles VI was crowned King of France in 1380 at just 11 years old. At first, he was called Charles the Beloved, but by the end of his life, he was Charles the Mad. Most likely he suffered from schizophrenia, especially since his psychotic episodes began in young adulthood and included paranoid delusions. His first known episode happened in 1392 while on a personal mission to avenge the attempted murder of one of his advisors. As he and his escort traveled through a forest, a page dropped the king's lance, which made a loud noise. Charles drew his sword and yelled, "Forward against the traitors! They wish to deliver me to the enemy." He then began hacking away at his small army, killing at least one knight and, most likely, several more. When finally wrestled to the ground, he quickly went into a coma. Charles recovered, but his bouts continued. Other episodes included forgetting that he was king, not remembering his wife, claiming his name was George, running through the corridors of his palace, to the point where the entrances were barricaded, refusing to bathe or change his clothes for 5 months, thinking he was made of glass, and more. Charles died in 1422, and he most likely passed his illness to his grandson, Henry VI of England. Side note, Henry VI, King of England and disputed King of France, at one point became completely unaware of anything that was going on around him. This lasted for more than a year. Thanks for watching. Please share and subscribe on my YouTube channel, Monty Stories, for more.